But the meltdown of nuclear reactors presents us with unknown consequences. What will the fallout be, literally and figuratively? Have we already made an energy pact with the devil, and this is our payback? What do we need to learn in this wilderness time? Would that we could just avoid the wilderness. But ignoring the wilderness is a form of denial and won't make it go away. We're stuck in the wilderness, hungry and scared and at each other's throats. But the wilderness can teach us lessons. Like our dependency on energy resources, be they electricity, coal, oil, or gas. Like our interdependency with one another. In the wilderness, Jesus was tempted with food, with influence, and with political power. What are we tempted with? I see the devastation in Japan, and I'm tempted to turn the channel. It's too much. We're tempted to deny our roles as children of God. We're tempted to forget our sisters and brothers. We're tempted to look out only for number one. I'm tempted to take the privilege that I have as a straight white male professional and ignore my responsibility to the rest of the world. No one will notice if I just hang back, if I keep my chewing subtle. When we'd finished the rest of the jerky, we trudged on. We no longer had food to sustain us. We were all in it together, up to our waists. The stronger ones took on some extra gear. We gave each other encouraging words. We prayed a lot. We tried not to think about our bellies. We began concentrating more on each other. Being hungry can tempt us. It can stretch our faith. How do we act when our faith is stretched? We kept thinking that with each turn in the canyon, we might bring us some hope for an end to this long trip. But with each turn came more river and more canyon. That was until someone shouted, "People!" Our pace tripled as we rounded the bend and saw people. And they saw us running towards them, and we asked them, "Do you have any food?" And they gave us the best tasting Oreo cookies I'd ever had. A good 5 days after beginning our 3-day trip, we had a memorable feast and a celebration at the campsite near a store. The stories of the days without food were, of course, exaggerated by these teenagers as we recounted our tale to anyone who would listen. Over ice cream, we spoke about how we came to love each other in the wilderness, even though we were at times tempted to kill each other. The wilderness taught us to forgive. It taught us to concentrate on what's most important. It was something about knowing our burdens and feeling them collectively. When there was not any food to go around, we nourished ourselves with the faith in each other and the beauty of creation which we loved and hated at the same time. Perhaps the church should go through a time of wilderness without food, we wondered. Could taking on each other's burdens help us grow? Isn't that part of the Lenten discipline anyway? Assuring ourselves that bread is not only what we live by, but truly by the love of God, which is expressed by love and justice and peace and faithfulness and community. Somehow that key ingredient, the love and assurance of God manifested in each other. When we see that, everything else seems minuscule and insignificant. This is what we learned in the narrows of the Virgin River. The only way to get through it is to go through it. The only way to Easter is through the Lenten season. We emerge on the other side of the wilderness, remembering how we were tempted, remembering who was there with us, remembering that God has never left us. What are your wildernesses? Is it addiction? Is it despair? Is it joblessness? Is it the struggle to make ends meet even though you have a job? Is it basketball losing streaks? Is it indifference? Is it taking on too much worry and taking the weight of the world on our shoulders? The bad news is you can't escape the wilderness. There will always be lows to offset the highs. The good news is that the wilderness is temporary, even though it seems endless at times. And you don't go through the wilderness alone. The only way through the wilderness is through the wilderness. Therefore, make the most of the wilderness. Think of those who sustain you in those drought times, in those wilderness times, in those times of the most bleakness. Are they your family, your friends, those sharing a pew with you, those people that know you better than you know yourself? The message of Jesus is to not give in to the temptation in the wilderness. It was a good 3 days after we survived the Narrows and we were unloading our packs that John pulled out that loaf of bread under a bunch of wet clothes, but somehow it didn't even matter anymore. We had become angels to each other. And Jesus answered the tempter, "It is written, you shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds from the mouth of God." And the devil left him, and behold, angels came to minister to him. Amen.